While America, Britain, and France were growing in their own respective rights, Spain's power was slowly decreasing. Prime example would have to be how little control Spain, at this point in time, had over Florida. The Spaniards couldn't regulate the amount of escapees and slaves entering the colony. These escapees joined with the local Seminole tribe. With those new increased numbers, Seminoles started running raids on American territory, Alabama and Georgia being prime targets. America, after these raids, had to start taking action. They sent in a man by the name of Andrew Jackson.
Little small fact here, this guy actually becomes 7th President of the United States later on down the line.
He and reinforcements destroyed Seminole villages in retaliation for these attacks. He also returned the slaves and escapees back where they belonged. He completed these first two objectives on order, then decided to go on his own accord and seize two important Spanish towns in Florida, causing the governor to flee. Not long after, Spain realized the power that America had over Florida and gave up Florida to America. Straying away from America for a second, we'll get back to them later. Around 1810, Spain started having trouble with their own territory. Mexico was the first to pull up their sleeves, straighten their sombreros, and say shove it to Spain. A man by the name of Miguel Hidalgo gathered up a group of natives and went on multiple raids to free provinces. He ultimately, though, was killed by Spanish troops in 1811. About 10 years later, after Hidalgo came and did his deed, another revolt broke out. This time, Spain was not able to control it and just gave Mexico its freedom. Mexico, with this newfound freedom, started off with an emperor. This monarchy, however, was thrown out in 1823 instead for a democracy, a federal government, which, might I add, was modeled after our very constitution. After Mexico gained its freedom, South America said, hey, let me get in on that, and decided to start its own revolution as well. One of the most important leaders in South America's revolution was Simon Bolivar, also known as the Liberator. In 1819, he led an army march from Venezuela over the Andes into Colombia, where he defeated Spanish troops and became the president of the newly formed government, which I will abbreviate as the IRGC. It should be on the board for you right there if you don't know what it is. The states listed will also be on the board as well. Speed round. 1821, further North and Central America's people declared independence, forming the United Provinces of Central America. Nigeria, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala are all included in these. 1822, Brazil left Portugal, and by 1825, most of the Latin American and Central American and South American colonies were freed from European rule. That speed round wasn't so bad, was it? Now we're going to be segueing back into America for a second with the Monroe Doctrine. With all these new colonies / countries being freed, seemingly they were being targeted for recaptured by Russia, France, and Spain, of course. James Monroe and John Quincy Adams, President and Secretary of State respectively at the time, were worried that this was the exact thing that was going to happen. Britain also felt the same way. They wanted to protect trade with Latin America. Britain proposed that both them and the USA should issue a joint statement. This statement would declare the country's determination to protect the Latin American states / countries. Adams believed, though, that the US, as not to look like Britain's understudy little brother gone rogue, told Monroe to issue the joint statement independently, as America does. In 1823, the Monroe Doctrine was stated. It said the U.S. would protect Latin Americas from Euro countries attempting to colonize or interfere with trade and such. Now, at first, when the Monroe Doctrine was issued, America, we didn't have the muscle that we have today. Now, as our country grew, the Monroe Doctrine started to become a lot more prominent and, well, effective. Now, after the Revolutionary War, you would think there's nothing left of Britain in America, right? Well, that's where you're wrong, kiddo. There's actually Canada. Britain owned it, basically. Well, half of it, I should say. Because after the American Revolution, Canada was divided into two parts. One falling under the English rule and one falling under the French rule. Which, if you can piece two and two together, why Canada speaks French and English. But due to the amount of rebellion on both halves against the British, eventually they had no choice but to give up Canada and let it rule itself. Canada, now self-governed, issued among itself the Act of Union. This conjoined the two halves and made Canada, well, how big it is today, I guess. Now, our relationship with Canada, well, it's been going smoothly. It had some bumps for 1812, but as of now and in recent times, we have learned to overcome that, and Canada now stands tall as one of our many allies. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the video portion of this presentation. Present day me, not the one that's speaking this video right now, should be up at the board or one of my teammates to go over and review what the video has just stated, if you have any questions or would like to have a deeper understanding of the video. Coach Small, class, I hope you enjoyed this. I didn't make it just boring with a bunch of photos. I added some video gameplay in the background. I hopefully, in post-production, added some little images that flew by occasionally, and all that pizzazz of editing. So, if you liked it, let me know, because I'll do these more frequently if Coach would like. But other than that, take it away, future me, or present day me.